Hello everybody, my name is Kevin and this is the Royal We Wednesday Reactions. Today we're going to be looking at a video by Dr. Jordan Peterson who's going to help us to understand that painful chaos that we live in after narcissistic abuse. Not only that, but he's going to compare us to Pinocchio, of all people, or puppets rather. So if you're just as interested as I am to find out what we have in common with Pinocchio, then hang with me. Let's go ahead and get started.
Now, we got to think about the chaotic domain for a minute. The chaotic domain is where you don't know what's going to happen. And anything could happen, positive or negative. Anything can happen. And so you can think about the chaotic domain as the birthplace of order. It's the place from which order emerges.
The chaotic domain, the way I understand this is the place that we live in coming out of a narcissistically abusive relationship. It's the inevitable outcome when everything is taken away from you. It's when you've been reduced to nothing. The rug has been pulled out, your world has crumbled, you've lost your finances, your place to live, you've lost your friends, you are at rock bottom and everything has turned to chaos. This is a place where you're either in right now and you hate it, I've been there too, or it's a place where you're afraid to go, which causes you to stay in toxic relationships. A lot of people stay in toxic relationships because they're too afraid of the chaos that they would experience by leaving. If you look at the chaotic place that you're in, or the chaotic place that you're afraid to go, if you look at it as just a horrible, bleak, dark experience, I want to challenge you with this thought before we continue. The Bible begins in the chaotic domain. Think about that, right? That's the whole Genesis 1. In the beginning was darkness, chaos, and then the Spirit of God, what? Moved over the surface of the waters and then started to build. Keep that in mind. Let's continue.
Well, it's akin in some sense. Remember what happens in Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, right? Here we go.
So Pinocchio goes down into the depths and then into the whale to rescue his father. He goes to the most frightening place possible. And he tests himself against it. And he rescues his father and he brings him up to the surface. But the consequence of that is that he dies. But what dies is the stupid puppet.
Ooh. So why is he talking about Pinocchio right here? What does this have to do with you or with me? Well, he's saying Pinocchio in the story goes down to rescue his father, and in exchange for that, he dies, though, as a result. And no, we don't spend our time in toxic relationships trying to rescue them necessarily, but you do try to rescue something. Perhaps you're trying to save your idea of love. Or maybe you're trying to save your idea of what family is. Maybe you're trying to save your idea of a father or of a mother. You're trying to save something that's an idea. You try to pull that idea up and something dies. But what he's saying is important. It's that it's not that Pinocchio died in the story, but the puppet died. But let's listen.
And so the question is, well, to the degree that you're a stupid puppet, are you willing to let that die? And the answer to that is, it depends on the degree to which you're actually a stupid puppet. Because the more that's true, the more of you has to die. And it's not something trivial. That's why these myths insist upon the horror of the thing that lurks, so to speak, is that that death might be enough to actually kill you if you're not properly prepared for it. And
I believe this is exactly what Dr. Jordan is trying to tell us. Jordan Peterson, what he's trying to tell us here is that depending on how many false narratives rule and govern our lives, this puppet example, this Pinocchio puppet example, we have strings attached to us, what love looks like, what our family's supposed to look like, and to the extent that we have all these strings, that's how much death we need to experience, because these are the things that break away from us. These are the things that die as a result of narcissistic abuse. You follow me? So when you're in a toxic relationship, these strings are breaking. All these things are dying. Your view of love, your view of your parents, your view of family, all these things that held you together at one point are now broken. Interesting, right?
From it. You just will not be able to handle the aftermath, but also you won't be able to handle the fact that something like that could actually happen. And that's really the nature of trauma. You cannot believe that that could actually happen. And that's an encounter, it's almost always, and this has been the case, certainly been my clinical experience. What traumatizes people is malevolence. It's not, not tragedy, although tragedy can traumatize people if it's severe enough. But generally, no, people can withstand tragedy. They are done in by real malevolence. And so sometimes it's the realization of their own malevolence that does that.
Yeah. So what he's basically saying is that trauma isn't usually the result of tragedy. I've experienced loss in my life. I've lost my father. I've lost my mother. Hard, yes, but never as traumatizing as the malevolence I've experienced through evil actions of other people, trying to understand that, because it didn't go along with my puppet strings. You know, my puppet strings dictated that if I'm loving and kind and a good Christian and I operate myself in this world like a puppet, then everything is going to go according to plan. Right. And then you come across toxic, narcissistic people and boom, the puppet strings get killed away, right?
Men. But when that isn't the case, they encounter someone who's out there in the world who's actually operating to hurt them. And so, and if the person is psychopathic enough, and this is actually goes beyond pure psychopathy, because at least the psychopath has the sense to be self-interested. You can go far farther than that, where you're perfectly willing to hurt yourself as long as you hurt the other person.
Listen, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I hope that you got something out of this reaction video. I know that I have as well. I am available for one-on-one support down in the description box below this message. You'll find access to my calendar for one-on-one appointments, FaceTime video calls, WhatsApp video calls. It's all available for you. So head on down there, schedule some time with me. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We.